use set extensions using Final Cut, Photoshop, and After Effects. So the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to get into Final Cut and create a new event. So you're going to go to File, New Event. And when you do that, you also want to create yourself a project. I would call this event Set Extensions. I already have one made. So here's my Set Extensions event, and I'm just going to create a new project inside of that. Right, so next, you want to find the file that you're going to be working with, the video file. So I'm going to be using this one. I'm just going to drag it directly into Final Cut. And the number one thing I would do when you get your file into Final Cut is just basically make sure that there is no camera shake. That tends to happen at the beginning and end of these clips because maybe you were like pressing play or record or what have you and setting your tripod up. So I just trim a little bit off, but the rest of it works. For this particular clip, I'm going to put set extensions in the sky. And you can see right here, my head kind of interacts with the sky there. So that's going to be an issue. So I'm probably going to trim it out and not start my clip maybe until about here. So I'm going to bring that up a little bit. And then any other areas that where maybe I interact with the sky. So that's another one you can see right here that I kind of crossed into that plane a little bit too. It's not a huge deal. That would probably be a bigger one where you kind of see me come over there, but I'm going to kind of stop myself here. So I'm just going to do a really short clip and then zoom in a little bit. The next step, really all we're going to do is take a screen grab, not a screen grab, but we're going to export one frame out of here. And when we do that, we just want to make sure that our playhead's showing a one frame of our video. So it doesn't really matter where it is. So I'm just going to go File, Share, and I'm going to save current frame. If you don't have that, you need to go to Add Destination, double click on Save Current Frame, add it to your list. So File, Share, Save Current Frame, and go ahead and save that. I'm going to save that in my Set Extensions folder. And I'm going to go find it. So here it is. Now that file, I just want to go and actually drop into Photoshop. So basically what happened there was that file saved out as a TIFF, and we're going to bring it in, and we're not actually going to use this frame at all. We're just kind of, well, we are, but we're just using it as a kind of grid or guide to see where we're going to put our set extension stuff. So at this point, what you want to do is basically pick the things that you want to incorporate. So I have a bunch of PNG images already downloaded in. Stuff like that. I have this pyramid. I have this planet. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to do the pyramid because I haven't done that one yet. And just drop it in. Now, because I just dropped it in, it needs to be rasterized. You may be able to get along without that. So I rasterize it by right-clicking and just going to rasterize layer. Next thing, I'm going to go to my transform, my move tool. I just want to make sure that show transform tools is checked up here. And then I'm going to go ahead and just shrink this up. And think about where do I want this thing to be. So maybe I want this thing kind of just poking out there. And that looks pretty good. Now the next thing I'm going to do is actually just double click to set that scale. And I'm going to turn down my opacity. Okay, so I can see through my pyramid. And the reason I'm doing this is basically to kind of tell myself where I'm going to mask out. So where I'm going to delete stuff of the pyramid itself. So when I do this, I kind of make it see-through, and I'm going to throw my layer mask on here. And you can see it comes up as white. Make sure you know that that's the real layer, that's the adjustment layer. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to use the polygonal lasso tool here to select along the edge of this building. And what I'm doing is kind of making a really clean selection for myself that I can use just kind of erase cleanly. So you don't need to do this. You could also use just your basic brush tool. If you had more organic edges, you could just go in with your straight brush, pick an appropriate brush, something that's maybe hard, maybe it's a softer edge brush, maybe you can play with your opacity to kind of blend that in a little bit. So these are just all things you would want to mess with. And I'm going to go in and just kind of start painting in. Now this kind of actually works pretty nicely because there is one area where there is some trees. So that would be an area where I already painted with black. I'm going to switch to white because the white's actually going to expose some of this pyramid again. So I'm going to use my bracket to the right of letter P and bring that in, and then I'm just going to kind of blend that through a little bit. So bring it back in there. And again, the more time you spend on this, the better it's going to look. Looks pretty good, I think. And then, okay, I'm going to Command D to deselect. I'm also going to switch back to black because I want to take out some areas where these trees are in the background. And again, I could be a little bit more meticulous, but you know, just for demo's sake right now, I'm going to try to make it a little bit quicker. So let's see what that looks like. I'm going to go ahead and bump my opacity back up. And you can see not bad. Not bad. You know, it looks decent enough. And again, I could kind of keep going with this, and you know, if I wanted to push that pyramid a little bit further in there, make it look a bit more in the space, I could do that. I could drop it down, you know. So, but I think that looks pretty good. And so I'm going to do one more image just really quickly. I'm going to bring in this sky image, and I'm going to just double click it. Again, scale it up. Where would I want this to go? It's going to be in the background. And I'm actually going to just drop this behind the pyramid. And then what I'm going to do here is create a layer mask on it. And then I'm going to start erasing. And maybe actually I'll turn down my opacity a little bit. Oops. There we go. So you can kind of see how I'm blending this out. Now, I'm just being a little bit quick because of the, you know, just for demo's sake. Let's see what that looks like now with the opacity up. And so I'll blend that back in. There we go. Looking pretty good. Really, you know, if I really wanted this to be perfect, I'd probably go and make a selection here along the building line and just kind of work it. So I'll go in with black. Let's see what I want. Nope, don't want that one there. I want the black to take that out. And then I'm going to go select inverse here and basically just kind of paint that in so that edges a little bit better quality. And now you can see there's a little bit of awkward, you know, blending there. And so that would be me just being meticulous and kind of cleaning that up and making that look as good as I can. But not bad. Not bad at all. So that right there is my set extension. Now I can put all the things in there, you know. Again, if I walk over here and my pyramid is there, that might look awkward later. So that might be stuff that you have to edit. But again, you have to kind of play around with that and see what's looking good and what's not. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and actually turn off my original layer. So this is what we're really bringing in now into Final Cut. So I'm going to go just Command S. File save, hit OK, hit OK. And now I'm going to bring this file back into Final Cut. And really all I'm doing is just sitting this thing over top. All right, there we go. And that's looking pretty good. You know, I could probably do some edits. One of the things also in Photoshop that you could do, you can see maybe like this looks a little bit too different than the pyramid. So, you know, what you could do is go on to the actual pyramid layer and go to image adjustments, maybe go to hue and saturation. And if you wanted to, like, you know, tint that pyramid to kind of look more, you know, one color, what have you, maybe that's a little bit more orange. You could also, like, you know, do some layer paints, and there's really anything that you can think of that you want to, ways that you would want to modify this, you can go ahead and do that. Maybe that looks a little bit weird, but okay, that looks better actually. But I'm not gonna bring it back in, but I could make adjustments in there. The other thing you can do is once you bring this in, you can see like maybe my video layer itself needs some color correction, or just it needs adjusted. So, you know, what do I need to do? I feel like it needs to be a little bit darker. So I'd go in here, maybe drop the darks a little bit, and that just already matches, you know, a little bit better. Maybe even drop the grays, all my whites. Let's see what it looks like. I can go on to color and I can say, all right, I want, you know, my darks to have a little bit of a blue pop to them. I want my grays to have a little bit of an orange pop. I could go and make a color wheels and push certain things just to kind of make everything match a little bit better. All right, and it's looking pretty good. So now let's take a look. I'm gonna hit play, and there I am. Now you're gonna see where I kind of pop into this view, and that might become problematic. It just depends. But I can always go back and re-edit that stuff. So you can see my head kind of gets cut off. So I'd maybe go re-edit that, bring it back in, do some of that stuff. And again, to really make this perfect, it just takes some time. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to basically, this is good to go. But the one thing is this thing doesn't have any camera shake or camera movement. So it kind of looks a little bit phony. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to file, share, and export this out as an H.264. All right. And what I want to do next is while that's exporting, I'm going to get into After Effects and just create a new project, and I want to create a new comp and really nothing else. Okay, so what's going to happen here is we're going to bring that video file in. And you can see mine's exporting, but I have another one, so let me find it. Oh, there we go, we're good. Okay, so I'm going to bring this in. I'm going to drop it into my comp, and then there's my clip. You can see it right there. Now, it's just straight playing. Like there's, it's just tripoded, so there's no movement. I want to create some fake movement on there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on that video layer, and I'm going to hit P for position. I'm going to Alt-Option click down on my stopwatch. That's going to pull up my expressions menu. And really, this is very simple. All we're going to do is go over here, kind of in your timeline area, and we're going to do some coding. So we're going to type in wiggle, parentheses, 1,34, end parentheses, and then go ahead and play it. And you're going to see now it's got that camera shake. Only bad thing is you lose a little bit on the edge because it's shaking. So we also want to go in and hit S for scale. We're just going to bump that scale up to like 107. And let's take a look. And now we have that fake camera movement. We have our set extension in there, and it's looking pretty good. You could go and play with just your expressions for the wiggle. So if you type in maybe instead of 1,34 going to 82, let's see what that looks like. There we go. So a little bit more shake to it. All right, but again, I'm just kind of adding a little bit more to that reality. And then you would have to export this out, which you'd have to find the export demo for After Effects up on my YouTube page. And that's it.